Hello, everybody, and we are back. My name is Dr. Leo. I am here with the beautiful bearded Beyond Sadistic, and it is time once again for an MTGPL Invitational. How you doing, homie?
I'm doing amazing, Doc. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's been a minute. I've been missed being on stream, but it's been an exciting time. Hey, Chaotic Bear, thank you for the resub. Thank you,
Yes, and Tron,
buddy.
Tron Travolta as well. Thank you, thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
but it has been, it's one of those things where it's been a busy time of year for me. I mean, obviously, everybody knows what's happening in the world, but it's one of
Mhm.
those things that finally I just get to put everything aside and just watch a monkeyless invitational, and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, I am too. Legacy has been such an interesting spot over the past 7 months, and our our hopes may have been a little bit dashed with what we got for an answer. However, a lot of people are still have put on their happy pants and are just charging through and trying to find the silver lining to what we got. And I think a lot of people have found that, and me myself included. If you guys listen to the podcast, Oliver V was just on. Mike had made the same comment. They just basically, you know what? They've within this band, they've also found a new light, basically a new thing that brings them happiness. So I'm really excited for that. I have a lot of hopes for where we are going forward. So
Oh yeah, I mean, I myself. Oh no, did I put it away? I literally just rebuilt my legacy. Oh no, here it is. Ah, Standstill is back together
there you
in
go.
one piece.
Yeah,
Took a
Esper
little
Standstill, you
break.
said.
Yeah, Esper actually. Yeah, it's
Yep.
it's a lot of fun. Found that the Plague Engineers that Bosch and Roll suggested in the sideboard like really outperformed. And once again, just like it's a mana base I can build without volcanic islands.
Right, exactly. And I even myself, I put my mono black reanimator list back together just as funsies. That's been an absolute blast. Still a green white depths. Just insane amount of fun. Splash black on that also. So
Yeah.
it's a good time. I'm really enjoying it. Looks like Tensai. For those of you guys that are new, what we are is we are the MTG Paper Legacy Discord. We are a Legacy Discord where people play over webcam, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and this is our quarterly invitational. So what these players have done is over the last few months they have been amassing invitational points via our Saturday challenges and our league events that we run monthly. And these are the ones who these 8 players have basically are the ones who have been on top. So what you're watching today is going to be these players basically battling it out, and have right now top seed versus bottom seed, which is going to be Prez BOTW on Red White Painter and Tensai on Curse Stompy. Doc,
Oh,
it looks
just
like you're
realized I was
there. You go.
muted.
I was gonna
Sorry,
say,
just realized I was muted. Travolta, thank you for
thank you
gifting
for the
us some
gifted sub.
sub.
Hell yeah,
But
let's go.
so when it comes to this, so for those who haven't been around, and I know we haven't streamed it a bit, but Tensai from Dubai is just one of the most wild card slash best players at doing what he does in the
Right.
Invitational and in these sort of small metas. So Tensai one last Invitational in addition to winning a previous Invitational, and is also just like one of the top rated players on the Discord.
Right.
Amazing Cephalid breakfast player, but also known as a wild card that can bring anything. And we saw Mono Black last time with great success, and now we're seeing Curse Stompy coming in,
Yes.
and this is our straight up Reaple Cheap special. What do you think about it? Ooh, Dark Ritz. Oh,
Uh,
oh,
I
oh.
I actually
Oh!
think it just did what it does. So Tensai literally mulled to 5, and there it is. It literally Tensai literally just dropped exactly what he needed. Curse of Misfortune on the battlefield, which means Prez has got to go super fast. He's got a Sonic right now. He's literally
Yeah.
got a Sonic.
So Prez BOTW on homie from the Discord, fellow mod, great player. He's been playing Painter for the last 9 years.
Yep,
Check
this
out
is
our
his ninth
podcast
year.
for the check out the podcast for more in on this. But Prez, oh beautiful beta plateau,
Yes.
uh is very much a one deck expert, and Tensai knowing this coming in, they are going to be matched up. It's ooh, just showing off the dark Ritz.
Yep.
But Tensai knows there's no force will is the main thing.
Correct. And
So
there's
just
overwhelming
jamming it.
splendor.
Oof.
So this is gonna be hot mess express now for Prez because every single one of his creatures are now 1/1s have no abilities, and Prez is gonna take damage every time he activates an ability that's not a mana ability, which means Prez. If you guys are watching your bingo cards, we may get a smash in for 1 damage here coming next turn. So
Well, yeah,
and
they lose all
here's the
abilities
thing.
and cannot. Yeah, they can't activate abilities, aren't mana abilities or loyalty abilities. No damage yet, and no, dude, no worries about knowing any of these cards. The only players that play this are like a couple of wild people on the Pox Discord, Reaple Chief, the Inventor, and then now Tensai.
Yeah, so there, if you guys are following your bingo cards, there's going to be an attack for exactly 1. I think is one of the bingo cards up.
And this painter, though beautiful, does absolutely nothing.
Absolutely
It's just a
nothing,
1/1.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
every turn, because of Curse of Misfortune, every upkeep, Tensai is going to be able to go and get another curse, and goes and gets the Curse of Death's Hold, which makes
ooh.
all of Prez's creatures lose -1/-1, which means it's a permanent board wipe every upkeep now.
Yeah, it is over pretty much from here. The
Yeah.
only thing that Prez has in order to come back from here is, I think, quite literally Karn the Great. Oh wait, no, loyalty abilities cannot be activated. So yeah, this is just game over. I don't
Yeah,
think Prez can do
unfortunately,
anything.
yeah, exactly. I think this is exactly just a lockout here.
Yeah, but
Which is unfortunate, but this is exactly what Curse Stompy wants to do. And let's talk about the flexibility here. The Tensai was literally able to mulligan down to 5, have those exact 4 cards that Tensai needed, and this is just the game.
yep.
This is it.
And here is the knockout punch. This
Yep.
is the Cruel Reality. 7 mana enchantment or a curse. At the beginning of enchanted player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. If that player can't, he or she loses 5 life.
Yep.
GG,
Exactly. And
easy.
he's going to
And
create a construct, or
no, no
he's going
construct, just
to
floating
have a
mana.
floating mana. Yeah, in response to the trigger, he's going to go get an artifact right now. More than likely, maybe a pithing needle or a retrofitter founder. There you go. Just another way to beat down here.
Yeah, Cathor, I fully agree if that painter was there before the curse, but the curse
It was
came
not.
down turn 1, the
Yeah.
curse of misfortunes, which then got overwhelming splendor in game 2. There we see pitching the looks like ley line, yeah, that's ley line to create a
Yeah.
construct
That
or
was
to
a
create a
Chromos.
servo.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you got
Chromos
off.
pitch and ley line.
So, we talked about this in our year in a review podcast, but I think this is a good time for this. Ooh, those bolts. Of course, Tensai flexing, the 2
Oh,
invitational
another bolt.
wins.
Bolt and response. Just bolting back and forth.
Of course. But when we got here,
Yeah,
is
Prez is
one of
going to
the
have to
most
lose 3 life
uh, what's your opinion on Urza Saga?
or 5.
Like, people say it's a little bit too busted, but like
I
it's
think Urza
given.
Saga is fantastic, to be totally
Oh yeah.
honest.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people, it's a very powerful effect, and I think one of the biggest things, and that Prez is going to scoop that up there. So, Prez does concede going into game 2. Prez is going to definitely have some sideboard planning to do. But in terms of Urza Saga, a lot of people don't like how it's homogenizes deck building. However, I kind of like the fact that it offers that restriction. If you are going to put in the Urza Saga, you do have that homogenization that goes in to a certain degree because you get artifacts that it can go and get, and you use those tools. But it also takes away from the consistency of a lot of the decks that people are slotting Urza Saga into. So I do like that ability. Plus, what you're getting Pithing Needle and things like that. I think decks should have a Pithing Needle effect. I mean, I do like that in this regard. It gives you the flexibility to. It makes a lot of game 1 matches a little bit better for some of these decks that may just be absolutely hosed by certain deck lists. So
Yeah, and I really do like that you guys give this like ubiquitous. By the way, am I coming in better now? Sorry if I was blowing out your ears, chat.
to me, you sound like $1,000,000. So
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. But I agree. It's one of those things that Urza Saga has given a lot of light to different decks. It's given a backup plan, and I really like the card. But there are some people calling for it. But I don't know about that. Like, yeah, lands makes it a little bit busted. But let's talk
right,
about sideboards here. So
yeah, absolutely.
let's see. Okay, first up, let's pull up, if you don't mind, our wonderful stream tech, Mr. Jack Dax, one of the other mods here on the team, who will be here all day providing this amazing opportunity for everybody and
Hmm.
making it possible for all of us. Thank you, buddy. Love you. Anyways, so we got Prez up here. Well, of course, we also have to factor in this Karn wishboard as well. So we got
Yes.
one bolt, one grindstone, one pithy needle, one portable hole, three surgical extractions, one Tormod's crypt, one Aethersworn Canidus, one red elemental blast. I think that makes five blasts in the main then. And then one torp orb, ensnaring bridge, trinisphere, magus of the moon, and mycosynth lattice. What are you liking here?
Well, part of the problem is that a lot of this is Karn wishboard territory, and the fact with how fast Tensai is. Um, I mean, the surgicals are nice. You can be able to surgical a dark rit in after it's cast. Aethersworn Canonist I think is a good one, but again, that's a Karn wish target. Um, Honestly, I don't think Prez has got a whole lot of options here. Portable Hole is a decent one. I'm not going to lie, but it doesn't hit a lot on Tensei's side. Most of Tensei's permanents are much too large for that. So I think it's a little bit of a downside. I don't know, Doc. What do you think he brings in here?
So I do like Aethersworn Canonus just because of the fact that the way that Curses does go off the fastest and you're gonna be on the play is through Dark Ritual, of course, depending on mana and such. It does eliminate that. But I honestly do believe that the only thing that we're looking here is pretty much gonna be the Pithy Needle, maybe.
Right.
Just because of the fact that we are seeing this is a Karn the Great Creator mirror. Prez can operate without Karn the Great Creator very easily, while this deck does kind of lean more into it, or you could just name the helm for the combo.
Yeah. Yeah. I do I think I Aethersworn Canonus is really I think the only option here. I'm there are other plays he could do, but like I said, I think it's going to make him a little bit inconsistent. Pithing Needle coming into the main board though, he can get that with Enlightened Tutor also. So there is that. He doesn't have to rely
And the
solely
Urza
on
Saga.
Karn and Urza Saga as well. So
Yeah.
that is very very true. Maybe Prez brings in the other Lightning Bolt just to have a little bit more stretch if he can get some damage in.
I can agree with that. I do believe that that's a good idea. You know, the extra lightning bolt has provide that extra little bit of reach.
Hmm.
It can come down to bad beats. Sometimes as much as I've seen Tensai play these kinds of deck and like other players play this kind of deck, I cannot just agree with going Dark Ritual to Trinisphere. You can put
Yeah,
yourself so far behind if your deck doesn't cooperate, and you can't cantrip after there.
very
So
true.
that's the reason why I'm just like, you know what? There are times when Tensai can't get stuck underneath his own stuff.
True.
Speaking of which,
Yes.
when we talk about Tensai sideboard, we got one Pithy Needle, one Tormod's Crypt, one Thran Foundry, which I had to look that one up. One Liquid Metal Coating, two Torpor Orb, one Ensnaring Bridge, two Lost Legacy, two Opposition Agent, two Plague Engineer, one Helm of Obedience, and one Mycosynth Lattice. Also a Karn Wishboard.
Yes, that's just it. This is a Karn wish board. I could see. I mean, to be totally honest, opposition agents may be fairly good. Prez does do a lot of tutoring in this deck.
Mhm.
That could be something that he goes to. With this being again, Torpor will shut off Painter. No, as Painter enters the battlefield. No, Painter enters the battlefield, then you name. Or no, no, no. Hold
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
I
it's
said
as it enters,
and
so it doesn't
yeah,
get.
so a torpor orb does not shut it off. So there's no real reason to bring torpor orb in. Does shut off the tutoring goblins, but I don't think. I think Tensai's got a really really good game one matchup against this. I don't think I would do a whole lot. Maybe the opposition agents would probably be the only thing I would bring in, just because Prez does do a lot of tutoring. So
I agree. I
yeah,
agree. I do
especially
believe that the
Urza
opposition agents are
Saga.
the best bring in. Yeah.
Yeah, Urza Saga that shuts off it being able to tutor. You've got, I mean, you have multiple targets. It's pretty insane. The opposition agent play here, especially he can cast it off just one dark red. So
Exactly. I fully agree. It's very reactive. It is able to put you on the forefoot if in the case that since you're on the draw.
yep,
There's a lot of plays here that Dark Ritual into opposition agent does help. And once again, we see Tensai here mulling aggressively.
to five
Both
and Prez on the play. You're also keeping seven, so Prez might have a very strong hand.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Tensai knowing, because it's all open deck lists. Tensai knows that in turn one, he can go as hard as he can because there's no forcible here, and the blast effects do nothing until Painter's on the board.
Yeah, Tensai's Ancient Tomb's going to take two, and
And
there
we're
goes
seeing a
a
Chalice in the
Chalice
void.
on one. Interesting,
Okay, so much slower in this one. We're shutting off the dark rituals, and this is what I was saying.
and the broken
There's
pyroblast.
Yeah, exactly. There's now here Tensai is in the grind fest. It's going to be a we're not going as fast in this, which I do think favors Prez.
I do agree. Prez being essentially a combo deck, an artifact combo
Exactly.
deck. He's very much able to win out of nowhere. There's a saying that I've heard multiple painters playing, or multiple painter players say now, and that's you're losing the game until you win.
Ooh,
They very much feel like they're behind, and there's a Trinisphere. So this is going to be a big play because this is going to, if Tensai did keep a pretty poor hand here or something, so he didn't have to go to four. Um, I think Tensai is going to be really punished here.
this is a play. Okay, so this is what I was saying is that, curses can get stuck underneath its own trinisphere and such like that. And I think Prez
Yeah,
realized that a
that was a
lot
good
of its
bring in.
mana is in the dark rituals.
Yeah, that
And
Urborg is
so
also going to allow Prez to not tax himself with that ancient tomb as well.
it will allow both players,
Yeah,
which is very important because in this kind of matchup, though the acceleration is good, it is one of those things that both players do have. Oh, okay. We have a
yeah,
welder effect.
we do have a
So
welder entering the battlefield.
So because of the fact that Tensai has very little instant speed stuff, besides of course Dark Rituals,
Hmm.
Elves, and like Edicts, 'cause that's pretty much it. Oh, Hagra Maulings, but that's 4 mana. But yeah, that's pretty much it for instance. What
Yeah,
Prez can do is he could welder out the Trinisphere on his turn, and then welder it back in on the upkeep of Tensai's
the
if he
only
gets that going.
The only response that Tensai does have is sudden edict, which would allow him to force Prez to sacrifice the goblin
Mhm,
and not
mhm.
Prez not be able to respond.
Of course, yeah.
There's a ley
And
line.
oh, okay, okay.
So that's gonna basically Prez is not gonna be able to weld their stuff back and forth, unfortunately
This
now.
is one thing that I wondered is if Tensai would cut ley lines, and we do see here that Tensai, didn't cut all of them.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple, but for anybody that is enjoying this, we are the MTGPL, and you can hit exclamation point in Discord in the chat and find a link to the Discord, which will get you all this sort of into involved in this community where we
Yeah.
play Paper Legacy over webcam all the time, and you can work your way to the Invitational as well.
Yeah, definitely. If this is something that you're interested in, we are here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's almost 3,000 players that are part of the Discord, always looking to play Legacy, especially our leagues. The leagues are the big thing. Look at this mana
Oh,
into he
Helm.
just yeah. This is gonna be it for Prez real
Yeah,
quick
that
here.
with mana to activate. So
Yeah,
for those that when we talk about this because Legacy is a very old format. It's one of those things that a lot of cards, a lot of
yeah. That's
interactions that
it. Prez is
weren't.
gonna concede right here.
Yeah. So this
Wow.
basically says you have to flip over cards until you hit a creature of with X, but he doesn't have a graveyard because it's exiled, and just
And he
boom
did bring the
kills.
pithing needle in. There's a pithing needle
Oh,
right there.
oh man.
Yep.
Oh, I wonder why. Oh, he didn't deploy it on his turn. Oh, he wanted to enlighten tutor on his
Tutor.
turn.
Yeah. Yeah, that Trinisphere actually hurt Prez, I think, just as
Mhm.
much as it hurt Tensai there.
Yeah. Tensai just going back to back cities though caught it up. So we are not done here. We have a
Oh,
couple more
no.
we
We
have a
have
couple more
multiple
remaining.
matches going on right now. Yeah. So there's an entire top 8 that's going on behind the scenes right now. We're gonna find another player to be able to jump into, or another group of players to be able to jump into here. Right now, let's pull up our standings. Prez is gonna go down to the bottom now. And Tensai will be moving on, which means Tensai will continue to keep the number one seed spot, which means Tensai will be on the play game one as well. So we've got Dalibor versus Oliver V, Abzan Reclaimer versus Reanimator, Eternally Surprised and Amaru. They're playing Blue Red Delver versus Jeskai Control. And then we have Rax on Blue Red Delver and AHG on Reanimator as well.
Yeah,
So
so Owl's reanimator list is a little bit different. It has the Chain of Smog combo that's like built into it, if I do remember
main deck
correctly.
and sideboard
Yeah,
both.
main deck and sideboard, which can be a solid juke. Like honestly, like you could either just slam Grizzlebrand or you can get there with the combo. Oh,
Yeah.
so I do think that that will give some play against like the Tensai 4 main deck ley lines rather than like the Oliver V like all in reanimation plan where Tensai slams a ley line game one. It's just GG's.
Yeah, I think we're going to jump into the Oliver V versus Dalibor matchup, which is going to be the Abzan Reclaimer versus Reanimator deck, or because this is going to be an important match going forward. If Oliver V, let's see, look, they're in game two, so Oliver V won game one, which means Dalibor is down. If Oliver V wins this, it means Oliver V is going to be playing against in round two against a deck that has main deck ley lines being Reanimator. That might be a little rough.
Yeah, and Mr. Lamb, thank you for the subscription. Really
Yes,
appreciate
absolutely.
it.
Thank you. Thank you.
But when we look at this matchup, this is very similar to the list that had Dalbor played last Invitational. It's
Yes.
pretty much it's the stock like Abzan Maverick Reclaimer base build here, and
Grindy. Yep.
grindy, yeah. And the turn one, the game one, definitely goes to Oliver in this, being that just so fast, so effective. It's Reanimator. It just does what it does very
Yep.
effectively.
Yeah,
But
it definitely goes for.
after this though, the only graveyard hate I'm seeing here are two endurances.
Correct. That's actually been one of the weak spots of Dark Maverick and or this Abzan Reclaimer list as we've been going further and further. Those that have held on to the Reclaimer list is just that your sideboard plan is basically or your sideboard graveyard plan is a lot of the times a creature plan because of the fact that you want that massive creatures. And I think that's one of the reasons why Reanimator is really one of the many reasons why Reanimator has been what the go-to that a lot of people have gone to because of the fact, one, it's cheap on Moto. It's like 400 ticks to be able to play. So a lot of people that have rental accounts can be able to pick that up and play Reanimator. But that and it's so freaking fast and it's a lot of fun. It very much is a lot of fun. The being able to turn one Grizzlebrand is just a really fun play pattern that makes you
Oh
feel
yeah.
like you're doing the most powerful thing you possibly could.
Oh yeah, I
So it
fully
looks like
agree.
we are jumping into Dalibor and Oliver V here. It looks like Oliver V's got a scrubland in play. He's got some cards in his graveyard. Looks like he then Unmask was played. Oliver V's got 17 life. Dalibor's got 12. Um, let's see what else is going on here.
Yeah.
They are paused while we get everything set up.
And big thank you to our homie Mike Diff, who is in the background, being our table spotter, giving all of us the information here up here in the booth.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it. It's really a collaborative effort that all of us come together to really put on for everyone here. So I hope you all enjoy this.
Yeah, definitely. This is game two. Oliver did win game one. Dalibor has got a ton of lands, and there's a Soul Guide Lantern right there. So it looks like Dalibor has been
Oh
reaping the
wow, I missed
rewards
that.
of that Sylvan library that's in play. So
Oh yeah. Okay, so now this is a little bit different than the last time. It is now an Urza Saga deck. There's one Urza Saga in the list.
yep.
For targets, we got a Pithing Needle, a Shadow Spear, and a Soul Guide Lantern. Wow.
Which is pretty decent when you're looking at, I mean, honestly, a Soul Guide Lantern is a very, very good play off of Urza Saga. It is going to eat a prismatic ending, unfortunately, though. That is one
Yeah.
thing that Oliver V does have is 4 prismatic endings in the sideboard. So if you're playing a bingo deck, you just saw your free spot, which is one MH2 card.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Easily. MH2 has single-handedly shaped Legacy since it came out. And pretty much all Eternal formats.
I agree. A prismatic ending is a very, very good card.
Oh yeah.
I,
I
a lot of people again not their favorite card. They don't like what it's done to the format, but it's given white and white X decks a lot of reach, especially when they can be able to splash. It gives them a lot of answers. 2 permanents which they may not have had. It's kind of like it's kind of like your Oblivion Ring effect, but it's a little bit more flexible and you don't run the risk of losing it. But it does have that that deck building cost of you have to splash other colors, make your mana base a little bit more inconsistent.
Oh yeah, it is one of those things that it has definitely facilitated the 4 color and 5 color soup,
Hmm.
enabling that in addition to busted draw spell dot deck expressor iteration. Um, but it is one of those things that I do think that for the fair blue decks, it's basically the abrupt decay for white, and
Hmm.
rest in peace, my homie abrupt decay.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do agree with that. Although at least it's not an astrolabe type soup enabler.
Yes, that is true. This is a soup that is punishable by Wasteland, Back to Basics, and Blood Moon.
Exactly. Exactly. So it looks like Dalibor gets Dryad Arbor. and that's off
I
of a fetch. So
It was off yeah.
Sylvan Library response. Oliver V's last turn just had an Underground Sea and a pass after that prismatic ending.
Okay. And we
So if
are
you're
up to
Dalibor
date.
right now, Doc, what are you looking for?
Green Sun Zenith.
You're looking for a Zenith? I'm assuming so
Um,
you can go get something to beat face.
yeah. Yeah. Green Sun Zenith, because right now, do we have a wasteland in the graveyard? Because you can easily Green Sun Zenith for a revving up excavator and put the pressure on the mana, and it's just GG.
Yeah, that is one thing. I think, does Oliver only have 4 basics? I remember in the podcast episode, somebody had mentioned basics, and I think it was mentioned that
That
Oliver only had
was
4.
Yeah, he only has two
2,
swamps.
okay, so it's way, way less than I thought. I need to
Yeah.
switch my deck.
That's
Deck
because
listing.
I said invalidate wasteland, play basics.
Yes, yes, there you go.
Okay, so we do have Grizzle Daddy in the graveyard, and this has to go right now because of the fact
Correct.
that if Dalibor gets a turn back where that elf is on summoning sick,
Hmm.
off summoning sick, it can just be absolutely busted. Just have Bajuka Bog at instant speed, assuming that Dalibor doesn't draw it, which I have done that too many times.
Right. I would like to believe that if Oliver put Grizzlebrand into the graveyard, that he has a plan to be able to make this happen.
Yeah. We do see interesting the choice of Grizzlebrand though. There's a Caracas on the board. Un
There
Untapped.
actually is, but it's going to also give him the ability to draw 7 cards, which he very well may be
Yeah.
able to draw into a win.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. That is definitely a play. Your life total hasn't been pressured, still at 16. Most of the damage that you've done is via your own fetches and the one Dryad Arbor hit. I do think that you can use your life total as a resource here.
Also, he could be using the Grizzlebrand as a bait too.
True, true, true. Do we have okay? So this is game two. Oliver got game one. So possible. We got Fatal Push, Veil, Collector Roof, 3 Aethersworn Candidates, 1 Life from the Loam, 2 Choke, 2 Endurance, 2 Plague Engineer, and 2 Force of Vigor for Dalibor. So it's entirely possible that we're looking at an Endurance here. And ooh, passing back.
He did pass back, which is interesting. Oliver did Faithless Looting and then dumped 2 Chancellors into the graveyard. So there's a lot of interesting hits here in the graveyard to be able to be hit. Dalibor also knows what's on the top of his library, may not want those cards, could activate Reclaimer in response and go get a land to be able to shuffle the library as well.
So
Which
Oliver,
very well may be what Dalibor is mulling over right now. There's
true.
going to be 2 mana. Is going to
And we
activate Reclaimer right now.
Yeah, we are gonna see we're gonna see a Bajuka Bog right now. Too many good targets.
Sacrifices the forest. And this may absolutely be one hits the faithless looting as well. And yeah, hits the faithless looting, hits Grizzlebrand, hits 2 Chancellors.
Yeah,
There is the
yeah.
Bajuka Bog. So it very well may have been that Oliver V baited out that Bajuka Bog by putting those creatures in the graveyard.
I do want to give credit towards Oliver for that because the fact that that did seem extremely obvious. Entombing, not reanimating, and also like throwing more targets into there. You think that
Mhm.
maybe because we are dealing with this sideboard, so we got 1 Coffin Purged, 4 Prismatic Ending, 2 Echoing Truth, 1 Shenanigans, 1 Fairy Macabre, 1 Dawnglade Regent, and 1 Iona, and 4 Show and Tells. You think we're going for a Show and Tell line?
It's possible. He also could have been hoping to draw something off that faceless looting and could have bricked.
Yeah, true. True, true, true. I agree. Hey, it is definitely possible. I mean, it's one of those things. Everybody
We
always
did
says
just
it.
get a
Face.
flash of Oliver's hand. He's got 3 cards in hand, and one of those is a Chancellor. So he very well could have bricked,
Okay,
especially considering we know he dumped 2 Chancellors in his graveyard last turn.
I agree. I think it is definitely one of those things that knowing that Oliver is going to go for it, pay the 7 life to draw 7 cards, pretty much. Well, 8 cards here, get that Grizzlebrand back into your hand.
Hmm.
Oliver possibly put a lot more faith in that faithless looting.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very true. And Oliver V knows this matchup very well. One being a green white depths player, there's a lot of crossover between green white depths and Reclaimer, but also playing before switching to depths was on an Abzan, Flagstones of Trocare build of like a Reclaimer type deck. So I think Oliver knows this matchup very, very well. So I think I'd like to believe that he's playing this intelligently and holding his cards very close to his chest here.
Yeah, I do believe that the prismatic endings definitely give some life to this deck.
Yeah.
That will give it a little bit more longevity, like we're seeing here, and Oliver can be playing for that. But it is one of those things that it is very much limited by the scope of what is in your hand and what you can draw off the top of your deck. Oh, Oliver is targeting
Thought seizing himself.
himself with the Thoughtseize.
Totally baited. There's an animate dead.
Animate dead.
That's going to be a Grizzlebrand. There's going to be mana in response to this.
And
Oh,
oh,
endurance.
hard cast Force of Vigor.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep,
that's
yep.
unfortunate. That's going to be
GG's.
Dalibor. That's going to be Dalibor game one or game two, and
Game
Oliver
two.
game one. So it's going to be 1-1 right now.
Yeah, that was so that was a play. I do like the fact that Dalibor brought in the Force of Vigor as well. That is one thing that I always do debate with people on. It's like, okay, do you bring in the Force of Vigor to hit the Animate Deads
Yeah.
or like Serenities or like whatever they bring in that's like enchantment based?
Yeah, definitely. That was actually a really good play. Oliver, I think, did a very good job of baiting that Bajuka Bog out. Unfortunately, Dalibor had the one answer in his hand that could hit the one enabler that Oliver had. So that was pretty rough.
Yep,
So
and now we go into this final sideboard game, which is always the one place that nobody wants to be. Game three is on the draw
right.
versus Reanimator.
And we're in a rough spot here coming into the middle of game two. We don't know outside of the prismatic endings if Oliver had sideboarded anything else in. Oliver's got a Coffin Purge, 4 prismatic endings, 2 Echoing Truths, 2 Shenanigans, 1 Fairy Macabre, 4 Show and Tell, 1 Dawnglade Regent, and 1 Iona Shield of Ameria. Doc,
That
we know that prismatic endings are in. What do you think Oliver's swapping out right now?
after seeing this and seeing this list and how it was based, I kind of want to find room for the show and tells, but I don't know what I want to cut. Obviously, of course, there's Dalibor has tons of graveyard hate. We have a main deck Bajuka Bog, we have endurances, we have a main deck Soul Guide Lantern, stuff like that. Why
Yeah,
even play that game?
yeah,
Just
I
try and
agree.
go Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual, hell, slam a show and tell turn one, force your opponent to deal with it, and then like I really do think go from there. And honestly, in this matchup, I honestly might even think that Archon of Cruelty is better than Grizzlebrand.
Yeah, Archon of Cruelty is like slam dunk against a deck like Dalibor that would have to actually put in multiple creatures a turn to be able to outrace the Archon of Cruelty. I do agree. Show and Tell is an absolute because you're putting in a Grizzlebrand or an Archon of Cruelty, and what is your opponent putting in? A Dryad Arbor, a Ramunap Excavator, maybe a Knight of a Reliquary. There's not a whole lot outside of Scrib Ranger that can block Grizzlebrand for a turn. There's not there's not a whole lot that you're really worried about going into play. So I absolutely do agree. So the sneak and shells are really good. Could put a Caracas into play. That could hose you. But if you put an Archon of Cruelty, you're way ahead of the game. If you put a Sarah's Emissary in, that's even another big one. It just
So
give yourself protection.
interesting thought process here. Because of the fact that you're not going against a blue deck, do you just
Hmm.
bring in Dawnglade Regent and Iona for two Chancellors because it doesn't matter as much? Essentially, because they don't have Force Will?
It's very possible, especially in a deck that's got a lot of removal.
Yeah. I think it is a possibility.
I mean,
It's
Dalibor's running swords, abrupt decays. I
I
think
mean,
so.
Abrupt Decays gets
Plus,
sideboarded out immediately.
more than
Like,
likely. But your opponent then can't hit you with Caracas.
yeah,
Shuts that plan off.
yeah, I agree. I think there are some play here. We talked about it on the podcast. Shameless plug. Check it out. It was a really good podcast. But Oliver, stated there's no set list for Reanimator. They're
No,
just
no, that's true.
Yeah, it's one of those things that Reanimator is very open and very, hey, like, build how you want, build your threats how you want. So this
Hmm.
can be a very Oliver V esque matchup where just jukes out his opponent.
Yeah, and talk about juking. Let's look at Dalabor's sideboard too. It's got a Fatal Push and a Veil of Summer, one Collector Roof, three Aethersworn Canoness, one Light from the Loam, two Choke, two Endurance, two Plague Engineers, and two Force of Vigors. We know the Force of Vigors are in. We know that
Hmm.
much. Are the Endurances in?
Endurances are in, Force of Vigors are in because you have two easy cuts and abrupt decay.
Yep.
You also have 1 to 2 cuts in how you feel that Shadow Spear is going to be effective enough. I don't believe it's effective in this matchup because of the fact that you win by stopping your opponent from winning.
Right, exactly. And being able
So
to shut them down long enough so you can get in for your beats. Agreed.
exactly. You can win with a wet noodle if you want to after you just shut down their graveyard.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that chuck that out, keeping the pithing needle because you want a pithing needle Grizzlebrand whenever you can. Okay, we're seeing unmasked
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Uh
Oliver being on the play, both kept 7. Oliver played a Marsh Flats, then unmasked. Wow,
uh
Green Sun's End, Swords to Plowshares, 2 Reclaimers. It looks like one of those was a Windswept Heath, takes the Endurance.
yeah. So we
Then
got
is that a
is that is
Bayou? Is
it
that
is
the
that
land of Bayou?
Bajuka? I think that was a Bajuka bog. Table
We'll get
spotter,
yeah. Mickdiff right now is our table spotter for this match, and two. It was the
swords
swords,
to
2 Reclaimers, 2 lands, and a Green Sun's End. We know one of those was a Windswept Heath,
yeah, of
and he took the
course.
Endurance. So
Uh
I
I
don't think it was a Bajuka Bog. I think it was a Bayou.
I think you're right. Yeah. Um, but it is one of those things that there are some cuts here that you can easily make to bring in 4 cards easy. Like I even love Veil of Summer in this matchup. There's nothing better than veiling and unmask.
Uh, that is true. Although I will say a lot of those cards Oliver likes to use, Reanimator likes to use on themselves.
Hmm.
So that may be a missed opportunity, but at least you still get to draw a card off of it. I
Yeah,
suppose
I agree.
Verdant's gonna fetch. Verdant fetches, plays out a Reclaimer.
Yeah, and we know that their source of plow shares in hand. So
Correct. Oliver
Oliver
is
even
also gonna get a Scrubland here.
either needs another removal spell. Oh no, this is end step and tomb.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that was not a Bajuka Bog. It was the Verdant Catacombs, or well, possibly. Yeah, there's Grizzlebrand right there. This very well
No.
could be the end of this. Although we do know Dalibor does have a Swords to Plowshares in hand.
We do know that Delaware has the Swords of Plowshares, but the entire goal of Oliver is to put Grizzlebrand into play now since it's the land's tapped. Draw
Mhm.
7, possibly even 14 cards to define Lotus Petal plus removal, Unmask plus black card, something like that. Even the
Plus, you
extra
get to
grief that's in
gain.
the deck.
Plus, you get to gain your life back if you do eat a Swords to Grizzlebrand, or if
Yeah.
Grizzlebrand does eat a sword. So it's basically like draw 7 cards. Essentially, I mean, you're paying the life if you. There's an Exhume.
Ooh.
So
Ooh, this is what I was about to say is
interesting. Interesting.
yeah.
Do we shuffle? Does he shuffle the graveyard, or does he put the graveyard
Uh
on bottom?
I think you well, my main concern is the fact that endurance and now is a chump blocker to slow your
He is going to gain
uh
7, or he is
to
going to draw
slow you
7
down
here.
and buy time.
Yeah. Does not hit Oliver with the endurance.
Yeah, Wiggles, you called it. Shouldn't he shouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I wouldn't give him those cards back.
Yeah.
Now, let's see. Did Oliver already played a land for this turn? So he's got to go
Yeah.
solely off of petals.
This is 100% just pedal Thoughtseize, pitch black card, push pitch black card, grief, pitch black card, unmask. Like
Yeah.
this has to happen, otherwise Grizzlebrand is going to go bye bye.
Well,
And you
Grizzlebrand's
just
gonna.
gave
Oliver does gain all that life back though, and he did draw a full grip of cards.
yeah,
So it may not
but
be a total bust, but definitely not the position he probably wants to be in.
exactly, I agree.
Discards a Chancellor and an Anime dead, so he is going to just pass
Ooh,
here.
okay. No greatness at any cost. Didn't draw down. I don't know if I agree with this because now Grizzlebrand, I mean, you gain back the life, right, but your opponent has 4 power bashing you back. Yeah, so you
Very true.
essentially
He can also
healing
draw
self.
in response to the swords too. So he'd still be at 12 life, but going into next turn, he's got so many cards. This is going to be interesting. If you're Dalibor, you definitely don't attack in. You probably
Oh,
have to
no.
swords of Grizzlebrand. We know he doesn't have a Caracas. They don't have a Caracas. They didn't put it into play. Did play that Windswept Teeth, which we knew was in hand, or one of them. One of them was in hand.
Does Elvish Reclaimer ETB put into the battlefield tapped? Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, like, depending how busted this card is.
All right, so there's the swords is going to hit Grizzlebrand, and I'll guarantee you he's going to draw in response.
I don't know. Oh, yep.
Absolutely.
We're seeing. Yep.
Yeah, I would love to draw 7 cards for free. Thank you.
Bye-bye Grizzlebrand.
Yep, there goes Grizzlebrand. He's going to lose or gain the 7 life back that he just paid.
Exactly.
That's a lot of
7
cards.
flying trample, pay 7 life, draw 7 cards, 7/7 for 8 mana.
Yep.
Like, why can't they just make it 7? It's not like it's
OCD,
castable.
the OCD of Magic players screams out in unison.
Every time.
All right, so Oliver's going to get smacked here by both the Endurance and the Reclaimer. He's going to go to 8. Next turn, Oliver's got to make it happen. He's got to make it happen. He's going to have 15 cards in hand. That is a lot of cards. That is a lot of cards.
Yeah, and Dalibor, unless Dalibor drew, I don't even think there's literally the second endurance. That's what it has to be. Is quite literally the second endurance. Oliver, I think, might have this in the bag because Oliver could put either an Archon or an Emissary onto the battlefield, get protection from creatures or instants, and then just
Go to
go to
town.
town with it because you're trusting that you can get there before Dalibor can draw a removal spell, and there's only 3 more swords in the deck.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, Dalibor has 1 untapped mana source right now. At possible. He is going to fetch. So Dalibor is going and fetching an end step. Oh no, this may not even be end step. This could be second main phase.
Second main. This is second main.
Yeah.
This is second.
Interesting. I did not realize we were still in the second main phase.
Yeah,
That was me
I
not reading.
I think it's because Dalibor was at the tank for a second there.
Yeah.
Just thinking about like possible plays and such like that.
Okay, so that could not have been a Bayou in hand. Oh, that's right. It was the Verdant Catacombs. We knew that. There's another Reclaimer.
Is
So
the
put some more power into play now.
are these 3/4s yet?
The Reclaimers, no, there's only 2 lands in the graveyard right now.
2 lands in the yard and Swords of Plowshares. Okay.
Yep.
So at 8, so can't reanimate a Grizzlebrand. You have to do an Exhume or an Animate Dead.
Or a Show and Tell.
Or a Show and Tell.
All right, so there's a
Seeing
grief. So right now, Oliver is paving the way. Gets rid of what looked like a reanimate there. There's a Dark Depths in hand, a Green Sun Zenith, and I did not see what the other one was.
I
A
think there's another
forest.
land. A forest, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we know Oliver knows the path is clear now.
Yeah, pitching
that
the
was a
reanimate.
It was a reanimate. Grief goes away. This might be a Marsh Flats.
We see in here.
I don't know. I'm on the edge of my seat. This is a big turn. 15 cards Oliver in hand.
Do we have any other initial results?
Not that I've seen yet. Oliver's going to fetch. Does he go get an Underground Sea here? It looks like we already knew Tensai over Prez. Right now we're watching Dalibor versus Oliver. This is game 3. Eternally Surprised at Amaru, which is Blue-Red Delver versus Jeskai Control. Amaru is up a game. Rax versus AHG, which is Blue-Red Delver versus Reanimator. Blue-Red Delver takes Reanimator down in 2 games. So this is the only match that's going right now. Does get a Badlands and plays a Faithless Looting. Oliver wants more cards. He wants to see more cards. Interesting.
Oh, there's the
Discard.
Archon.
There is discards an Archon of Cruelty
So importantly,
and a Grizzle Brand.
the Archon gives so much more advantage edge in this because of the fact that it's also can gain 3 life.
Dark
Oh,
Ritual.
Dark Ritual.
Mana for days. Animate Dead.
Animate
Targeting
Dead.
Archon of Cruelty.
Yep.
Perfect. That enters the battlefield. He says discard, sacrifice.
Oliver gets a draw card, gain 3 life, and Dalbor has to sacrifice a creature, lose
Discard.
a discard, and did he also lose life?
Yes.
And lose 3 life. Yep.
Discards one of the, or sacrifices one of the Reclaimers, and probably going to ditch, is it the Depths? No, gets rid of the Forest. Okay, keeps the Depths. Yeah. Oliver still has more.
Oh, prismatic ending.
Hitting the other Reclaimer. Yep. So no more being able to tutor.
That. So this puts it's Oliver at 10 now. Be with the gaining 3 life.
Yep. There's a reanimate.
Which allows the reanimate to get back Grizzlebrand.
Yes.
Because that's only gonna put him down to 2.
Yes.
That's huge.
That is huge. That Faithless Looting, being able to discard both of your payoffs, that's huge. And here comes the discard.
Dalabor's only draw at this
only
point?
had 7 cards in hand. That is huge. Oh! What a hell of a turn.
Oh, that was big.
Now, what does Dalibor draw off the top? We know there's a Depths in hand. We know that this Endurance is not going to do much.
So it's quite literally back-to-back Swords of Plowshares. Oh, no, we know that the draw is a Mox Diamond.
Yeah, that's not going to do it.
Yeah, it's GG's because the attack, the Archon essentially attacks for 9 and Grizzlebrand's attacking for 7.
Yep. Dalibor, unfortunately, that is not going to do it. That Archon is going to, when it attacks, Dalibor has to sacrifice that Endurance. Wow, what a game 3. What a game 3.
Very well maneuvered. Very well maneuvered on Oliver's part.
Absolutely.
I do think that the Archon, though, was the MVP in that matchup.
That absolutely.
Archon allowed for the reanimate to happen, in addition to nuking an extra card and an extra threat off of Dalabor's board. I have to say, I'm impressed with Archon. I need to get myself a couple of those.
I got it in a playset as fast as possible because those things are absolute houses, especially in Mono Black Reanimator. In Mono Black Reanimator, you have a lot of threats that you can hard cast. So you're lower on Grizzlebrands. Essentially, you have things like Grave Titans and whatnot. But yeah, Archon of Cruelty is such a good card, especially if you're.
Oh, I missed that boat. $11 a piece.
Well, that's not so bad.
They're not that. It's not that bad.
That's not bad.
That's like Grizzlebrand level, but like
it's actually. I think it's a little bit cheaper than it was. To be totally honest, I think I saw it get up into the 15 range.
Okay. So. Okay. Oh yeah. It has dropped. 12, 15. Okay. I think I might go in on this. There is Doc's pick for this one. I'm buying Archons.
Chaotic Bear says, "Bro, you play Legacy exactly."
True.
Your underground thieves weep in your forgettance of their cost. The sacrifices that you've made to play Bug.
It's true. It's so true.
You literally have the most expensive mana base that you could possibly have in Legacy.
Oh, rest in peace,
like, man, $11 for a badass payoff that might win me a game. I don't know if I can sling this one. All right, so we're gonna go over to the next game. We have one more game that is going. It's Eternally Surprised on Blue Red Delver versus Jeskai Control, being piloted by Amaru. So they're in game 2, and this is both 1 versus 1.
Oh, no,
interesting matchup here.
Game 3.
Or game 3, sorry. They both have won a game. But if you guys are watching and want to be part of this, we are the MTG Paper Legacy Discord. We are a huge Paper Legacy Discord that specializes in Legacy. We play over webcam 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've got just about 3,000 players. We've got monthly leagues. Monthly leagues are pretty much the hotness that everybody's in on. We also have our Saturday challenges. We have 2 weekday events that fire. One in a UTC time period, and then another in the NA time period. They're basically like a casual type, middle of the week, want to sling some Legacy, get in for 3-4 rounds and play. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Also, we are going to be throwing up a poll to see what you guys want to see in our next game. And if you guys are keeping track of your bingo cards, I think there's been some hits. I know we've gotten a free MH2 card. We have seen a mulligan. We've not seen a mulligan before. Card is
No,
cast from your
mulligan to
graveyard. We've
5.
not seen.
Tensai.
Yep, Tensai mulled to 5. 3 or more. No, we have not seen attack. We have seen the player attack for exactly 1 damage. 2 or more draw effects are cast in 1 turn. I guess we didn't really see that because we saw Faithless Looting and then we saw Grizzlebrand activation, which if you are going by, if you're a Magic the Gathering player, that says cast. Grizzlebrand's not a cast trigger. Stack is 4 deep. We've not seen that. There's tons of creatures flashed into play. Tons and tons of good stuff here. We did see evoke. We did see that be evoked. So
The grief being evoked was
Yep.
No, we didn't see the endurance get evoked, just the grief.
Yep.
Roblins, thank you for the follow. Did not only got a small snippet of that, but thank you for the
Yeah.
follow. But when we talk about this matchup, though, Maru coming in, this is the new hotness that's been around for a little bit. The Days Undoing, Jeskai pile. I believe it won a Saturday challenge. It's an
Yeah.
interesting deck. It's running three Narsets and 4 Teferis and a Dak Faden. So
Yes.
like it is definitely like an all-in like 3-drop control type deck. Oh, including Hullbreacher. This is just oops all 3 drops.
Yeah, kind of. This is actually kind of, it's an interesting throwback to, like you had said, to what we had seen before. We're back on the Hull Breacher plan. It's got Narset. This is your Dak Faden, basically prevent your opponent from drawing any cards or forcing them to discard their cards. Days Undoing plan, and then Dress Down Shark Typhoon as like a way to beat your opponent down, or with your Snapcaster Mages and your Hull Breacher. It's basically like the you embarrass your opponent and grind them out of cards, and then beat them down with your Marsh Viper and your big Typhoons.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. 4 Force of Will, 2 Force Negation. Any other counter magic that we're seeing here? No, but 4 Swords of Plowshares, 3 Prismatic Ending. Wow, this is a lot. Like it's gonna be a grind to drive through. I think this is very much comes up on one of those things that Eternally just needs to get underneath it with like a fast Delver or Murktide.
That's pretty much it. So this is where you literally have to go toe to toe with your opponent. The fact that you're blue-red Delver, you're trying to play the tempo game plan, and your opponent is literally just like a hard control deck. You're basically up against you're up against the Leviathan, and you have to find your spot where you can hit it with a harpoon and wound it enough to be able to stick your threat, and then be able to fight yourself back with some permission.
This is very much where Days is going to be seen here, because that's very much the difference between the two decks. Both of them have 4 Force and some now a Force Negation, but Days is going to be the killer here.
Yeah, absolutely. That in both decks want to be drawing a ton of cards. So that's one thing that blue-red Delver has always been able to do, has been draw a ton of cards, put your opponent back on their back foot, and then just win through card advantage and sticking one of your incredible threats. Which if they have a Narset down, or they have their Hull Breacher down, you're not able to do that. So interestingly enough.
You can still expressive iteration through it though, because that card does not give a rat's ass about that. Just does not care.
No, you're actually not drawing any cards. You're looking at them, which is nice. Which is very nice.
Though it is interesting, and this deck just went through a pretty big ban, and lost one of its premier threats, being Ragavan, and has slotted back in the other premier threat of Delver. Where do you think that this deck really lies on then for this configuration? Like, do you like how this is looking?
I honestly think it has the better threat now that it leans into. Ragavan was a great card. The only reason why I think blue-red Delver played it is because, one, against a lot of matchups or certain matchups, you being able to take one of their one or two of enablers off the top of their library and basically prevent them from using that later on in the game was huge. Its ability to be able to make a mana was also huge. It also became a threat that had to be answered either by committing to the board or with a removal spell or wasting a permission card when they were casting it. So it basically
Mhm.
was able to trade 1 for 1 or 1 for 2 when it was coming into the battlefield or after the fact that it was there. However, Dragon's Rage Channeler, honestly, I think is what Blue Red Delver wants to be doing because Murktide region is your badass.
Yes,
You want
I
your
agree.
badass into play more consistently and quicker. And Dragon's Rage Channeler does exactly that. Plus, Dragon's Rage Channeler is an awesome threat. That is an
Yeah.
awesome threat. It's a huge enabler. It's very, very easy. You can also lean on cards like Young Pyromancer now that you're going to heavier or you're getting even more payoffs on your spells being cast. And that's what Blue Red Delver wants to do is cast spells. Everything in this deck pays you off for having a giant mass of spells. And you have the best of the best. Plus, Blue Red Delver, look at the stifle. You know how many cards in this meta right now, in our top 8, can be stifled? There's a huge amount of cards that Stifle is good against. It's pretty much a win-win. I do like this build. The Brazen Borrower is a nice answer, but I honestly think Dragon's Range Channeler is just that's the money right there. It is.
Yeah.
It's just like the linchpin that puts it all together. Delver has just always been efficient. It's always been good. It's unfortunate they have a 1 mana 3/2, but it is what it is. You know.
Yeah, I fully agree. It is one of those things that when I was talking, I was surprised about this, and when we went over in the podcast, the stifles are very much there as like the catch-all in this type of matchup. There's going to be a lot of like fine edge like plays that if you don't have an answer for one specific thing, or if you're able to make your opponent stumble one time, that's all it's going to take. And I play. This is a high end event. Both all these players are very experienced. They know their decks. They are very involved, with the exception of Oliver, who just like slant reanimator randomly.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that all these players are top tier players that can and will take advantage of any stumble, and
Yeah.
that's what the stifles are here to do, are to cause that stumble. And I think it's a
Yeah.
brilliant play. I think
Oh, I agree.
both the Delver players bringing in 2 Stifle, I think it forces, especially in an open deck list, it just forces your opponents to play on the back foot all the time.
Well, and the interesting thing with the stifles is you have so much permission in your hand. And when you're the deck that wants to have answers, sometimes you can't answer a threat when it's coming down, which is cool because stifle is like your best friend that you call up and you're like, hey, you got me? And they're like, I got you, bro. They're there after the fact when you need that. It's late. You're hungover. You need a run to Taco Bell. Stifle's got your back, babe. They're
Stifle
there.
has your back like that. That's a great
Absolutely.
analogy.
Yeah, Stifle is there to be able to stop your opponent from using that threat that you know what, I'm not going to use that daze. You know what, I'm not going to use that force of will because they're baiting me out with this card. Stifle's got me. Stifle's
Yo,
going to
I
run me to the grocery store, pick up some purple drink, and I'm ready to rock and roll. So
So I would say that, but Dress Down is the hot cousin of Stifle that will also do that and more for
fair.
you. Because the
Absolutely.
fact that Dress Down essentially like, okay, I'm not gonna waste a daze. I'm not gonna waste a force of will or a force of will on this effect on this creature. I'm just gonna dress down in response, draw a card, and now your creature enters and does nothing. It
Yeah.
is I've eaten my shoe when it comes to dress down. Prez, you were right. It did do everything you were thinking and more. I thought this was just gonna be a stifle not card, but it's such a good card, and to
That's
see it
yours,
here in
Silverhole.
this matchup is pretty
Tomorrow,
wild because it's a 2 mana card. The only 2 mana cards that Delver historically plays are Young Pyromancer and Sprite Dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, Dress Down is so ubiquitous. It does so much. The fact that it replaces itself is just the absolute cherry on top. But
Yeah,
Dress Down,
it cantrips.
God, it enables it or it unenables so much game plan out there that it's awesome. It really is awesome. I think Dress Down is one of the best design cards that we've seen in quite a long time. I do like that it goes into play. I do like that you sacrifice it. I do like that it draws a card. This is a powerful legacy effect that we need to see in Legacy because this is the kind of stuff that makes those. That's an interesting game plan. That's pretty awesome. We
I
are into
agree.
this game. That is game 3. Amaru's at 19 life. Eternally Surprised is at 18 life. I don't know whose turn it is right now.
It looks like it might be a Maru's. It looks like he attacked with a shark token, and
Yep.
this is now a second main phase post brainstorm.
This is post
Uh,
brainstorm. Got it. Okay.
yeah,
Oh yeah, there is
under
a brainstorm there.
yeah,
There's a
under
lot of
some
cards. There's a lot of cards in the graveyard for only having 3 lands in play.
yeah,
Let's look at that there.
yeah. So second main for Amaru, tap on draw for okay. So now we are back to oh no, we are on Amaru's turn.
Yeah, this is now Amaru's turn. Eternally Surprised played the Scalding Turn and passed it back. So
Okay. So in this case, I like where Amari was at with the basics in addition to the shark. I have learned so much since picking up Standstill how just good Shark Typhoon is just to have in your hand. It's like, cool, I'm just going to cantrip.
Uh, yeah, I totally agree. Some comments. Ruger says Xerox Shell is the problem. Should have banned Daze as well, or Ponder plus Preordained, which cow is less sacred. Fair. Sometime soon there'll be another busted 1 or 2 drop that people will rage and need to be banned. Give it 3 years. And that's honestly, let's just talk about that real quick. The
Yeah,
Xerox
I'm
Shell has
done.
been super powerful. It has been super powerful, and this is something that's just been building and building and building. Something's going to have to be done.
Very.
Is it Days? Is it Ponder? Is it Brainstorm? We don't know, but I do agree. The Xerox Shell is very, very powerful. Its
So
ability to be so flexible is huge.
I would agree. The Xerox shell is busted. It is very good, but it got turbocharged with the printing of expressive iteration. Uh,
Expressive Iteration is a very good card.
yeah, we talked about this on the podcast when we were going over cards in review, the year in review. Oh, hardcast.
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting.
Oh,
This is with the 3 fairy on the stack. It
okay,
looks like Amaru is not going to fight over this. It's just going to let
I like
Eternally
that.
Surprised use that up, and then get in with 1 for the shell. So this is the game plan, right? This is how carefully these players are going to have to weave or thread the needle on these turns. Where am I going to use my permission? Goodbye, says the Volcanic Ellen. That means there's no more red source right now on Amaru's side.
Yeah, that is very important. Oh, we do see a brainstorm post land drop, so there is a chance for a brainstorm lock. But I think Eternally Surprised does not care because Eternally is just looking for a land drop.
That or a mass amount of cards. Very well. Wiggle says Ruger. That's how it should be, though. Decks should come in and out of favor as new cards are printed. 3 years is a healthy rotation. I do agree with that. As Wiggle said, it is a healthy rotation. And to be honest, legacy players are very, very passionate about the format that is their legacy format, and a lot of people hold very tightly onto those periods of time where they enjoyed legacy a lot. The game of Magic has changed, y'all. It's changed.
Yes.
The days of yore are literally small formats that are played on discords with 60 to 300 people.
Hashtag tiny leaders.
That this is legacy, and as much as we don't like it, it'll never be what it was, and you just kind of have to embrace that and run with it. Yes, we're gonna have those busted 1 drops that come. Yes, Days is gonna get better. Sometimes it's gonna be worse. Xerox is going to be an insanely powerful shell. By the way, Narset just ate a Pyroblast.
A
Amaru's going to
fatty
get it for another
pyroblast.
1. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it is what it is. Honestly, we cannot change that. As cards get printed, they have to go into new design space, and some things are just gonna get broken. You got to kind of roll with it, y'all.
there is. I fully agree. And, well, for those of us that have been playing for a long time, 10, 20 years at this point, it's one of those things that we will always yearn for the times that we all enjoyed the most, being, the earlier days and such like that. You know, it is definitely a thought process when it comes to is like, okay, hey, everybody's perfect legacy is different. But
Yeah.
when it comes to this, innovation is going to happen. But I think the main frustration just comes from we just don't get acknowledged.
Yeah.
Like it's like so it took them 7 months to ban Ragavan when from the very start we all said that it was busted. If we
Well,
just got
let's also be honest that it happened 1 week after MH2 drafts left Moto. Is that coincidence or
mm,
not?
yeah, exactly.
But
Papa Hasbro going
Wizards of the Coast is a business that has shareholders. We play a game that is their profit. That is one thing we have to remember. Does it suck sometimes? Absolutely. Do we
hashtag
suffer
Hasbro
because of that?
stockholder.
We are the smallest format with the largest card pool, and we are a niche group of players. There are other things that are going to take precedent. And honestly, Wizards of the Coast has done a poor job of upkeeping all of their formats. So I think they have recognized that and are hopefully going to be making some changes moving forward. But all their formats have suffered based off of their hands-off approach, which has been a little unfortunate. So I hear you all there. I hear you all there. The frustration is
Yeah.
buying cards and them getting banned. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what else is a frustration? It wouldn't hurt so bad if those cards all weren't printed in Mythic and they weren't $60. Just gonna throw that out there.
Yes. Oh my
If
gosh.
Regavan was a $5 card and they banned it, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So
There is a
but people don't buy
there's a fair
packs to
balance.
get $5 cards. People buy packs to get $70 cards. Why? Because you
Ooh,
just won the
ooh,
lottery.
ooh, I like
So
this. Okay.
so this they are fighting over this ponder, which is a big
Oh,
ass
this is
play.
it. This is it. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
dirty. That's so dirty. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Uh, so,
Let's
we were
talk about that
talking.
real quick. That was Cast a Snapcaster, Flashback Ponder, dazes the Ponder, stifles the fetch. Just like that.
Oh, that was dirty. Oh man, that was it, that was so clean. Okay, so that was the classic Delver play there. Back when like Rug Delver was still Canadian Thresh, and
Yeah.
they would do that sort of stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
that was like, oh,
That was
that was so
brilliant,
crispy.
actually, because that was
Yeah.
your not getting your mana. That was
Yes,
absolutely fantastic.
keeping Amaru off of red mana as
Red
well.
is huge.
But this is what we were talking about. Both of those cards converted so well. The Daze stopped the Ponder, and then the Stifle ate the fetch land. So now your opponent is very much off the back foot. The Snapcaster Mage didn't convert, and you just need to find like this is the perfect time for a Murktide.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a Delver dropped. It's on the battlefield. Now your opponent's got their Snapcaster Mage and their 1/1 flyer. Your Murktide eats them. They cannot Pyroblast right now. Never mind there's a Scalding Tarn. However, that's what you were banking on is the fact that your opponent cannot Pyroblast. You've taken them off of that.
Yeah. I agree. It's gonna be one of those things that when we look at
Benny Tron, let's
Benny
go.
Tron,
Welcome,
thank you
welcome.
for the follow.
Benny Tron,
Uh
what is your favorite deck? Let's go.
yeah, hit us up what do you like in Legacy? Hey, it's a great format. Uh it's so open, it's so wide. You can play good decks like Blue Red Delver, or you can play bad decks like anything I play.
I love your ability to be transparent in your self-reflection.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You think no, like I am an angle shooter in the meta, as
Jukei is
much
on Painter. Let's go. Jukei is on Painter. Everybody in chat, what do you all play? Let's hear it. I want to know how many of you all play tier 2 decks. I want to know how many of you guys love the fact that MH2 gave your tier 3 deck some power. I want to know. I want to hear it. All of it.
Oh yeah.
Malfi, what's up? Welcome, welcome, my friend.
Hey, Melfi.
There's the big bad wolf being cast by Eternally Surprised. Expressive iteration.
Yeah. Card be good.
Oh, Painter was an example of a bad deck. Jukea. Now. I play a tier 1 deck that nobody plays, Charble says. That is true.
Yeah, because nobody can just sit through all those turns. There's so much. What happened? Eight of Swords of Plowshares for the Delver. Okay,
Yes.
so I have to wonder. I really want Surprise to be able to shuffle their deck soon because this is
Oh.
ridiculous. Ooh, ooh,
Oh. Whoa,
ooh, ooh,
whoa,
ooh.
Whoa.
We've only seen two threats. We've only seen two
Are
threats
we
for this entire
are
time.
we casting wait, are we casting that in the draw step? We must have been because
In the draw
Amr
step.
was drew. What was named?
Oh, definitely the Swords of Plowshares because
Swords? Yeah.
that's the only answer to Murktide.
Pyroblast.
Pyroblast, yeah. Sorry, I don't
Pyroblast.
play these
Pyroblast.
fancy red cards.
These
Hashtag mug
fancy.
life.
Whoa! Are there 3 pyroblasts? And was there a
There
pyroclasm?
is a
There's 2
pyroclasm.
pyroclasms already in the board, and there's 2 pyroblasts in the board that I saw also.
Yeah, there's one
Or that's the
pyroblast in
deck. I'm
hand.
sorry, that's the deck. So
Yeah.
there are only
Boo.
the three swords.
Boo this man, Swords to Plowshares.
Yep.
Boo. There's one mismatched.
And what was in the hand? A pyroblast and a
Pyroblast and a
plains.
fetch land.
Oh, and a
Yeah.
fetch land. There's a pyroblast. Getting it to
Ooh,
Delver.
I don't. Ooh.
Oh, force of will, pitch and
Ooh,
force.
featuring
That's
force.
a
This
bingo card, y'all. Card
force
being
pitch and
pitched to
force.
itself. Force pitch force.
Okay.
Interesting. Interesting that Eternally Surprised is going to ride this Delver to victory, or
Uh,
is on this.
I mean, eternally surprised is has to be concerned about the life total. The life total, I'm pretty sure is down to 6 X.
8. Oh,
X.
no, no. Yes, now down to 6.
Yeah, down to 6. Okay, yeah. So surprise is down to
Flips
6. Okay,
Delver off the
flips
Ponder. So,
Delver. That's the first part.
yep,
But
Delver flips the Ponder.
I don't think surprise can attack with this Delver though.
I do agree with you. It can't. Although, what is Ponder going to get? Ponder might get something pretty juicy. Disappointed Amaru did not title his deck Hot Wheels. Oh my lord, Charmel.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Hold on, let
A
me look
big
back in the
shark
chat.
does answer a Murktide. Make a big shark
Yes,
answers Murktide.
I have done
That
that
is true.
before.
Unfortunately, we do
Uh,
know that Amaru does not have one of those in hand.
Days I'm doing. Dang. So I really do think I, I think Amaru kind of needs a Days Undoing here or a wheel of some like either a wheel a because with the swords
You,
being gone, you need to get
there's a
back your
Dragon
force
Trade
threats.
Channeler.
And
I
Darcy
wonder.
is
I
turned off.
wonder if. I wonder if Eternally Surprised found that off of Ponder.
Mm, I
Because I would
wouldn't
think
doubt
you
it.
would want. I would think, although Eternally Surprised does have quite a few cards in the graveyard already.
So
Attacked with
the
neither.
yeah, because Darcy came in, it's gonna have to attack next turn. So it's one of those things that ooh, wait, what? Darcy's a 3/3. Wait, do we not? Oh, do we not
Oh,
have a
it does
creature here?
not. It
Do
does
we?
not.
Oh, because
It's an
the
orchestrated
Delver
land
got
only.
swords.
Yeah, that is true. Gonna
Oh,
block. Are we
it?
trading the Delver for the?
No. This is Eternally Surprises attack. Amaru just attacked with the Snappy.
Yes, but it turned the Delver sideways. Am I?
Uh,
Oh, we're in the. Okay,
yeah, because Amaru.
there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why is the
Oh,
Delver sideways?
instep Hole Breacher. This is a lethal attack. This is a
Oh,
lethal
I see.
attack. Like,
I see. I was a little confused there.
yeah. Okay. So,
Wait a second.
oh, okay. Expressive iteration gets around. So, what you're missing is Mario attacked with the Snapcaster Mage.
Yep.
Hey, the snap.
What? No, what I missed was the Delver attacking.
Yeah, the Delver then
It
attacked.
was it was sideways, so that's what I missed.
Yeah. Oh no, oh no. The Ponder is going to give Amaru a treasure. I mean, it doesn't really matter. There's so much mana over there, but
Yeah, fair. Reorganizing the top three exactly. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be a little unfortunate.
Oh, end step flash
Oh,
in second hole breacher.
that's
Amaru is just
lethal.
ripping it. That's
That's
GG's.
lethal. That is GG's. Do you have a bolt?
Do you have a bolt?
No.
Oh,
Oh
GG's.
wow.
Oh, Eternally just
Jeskai
instant any
Control
threats.
takes down Blue Red Delver.
Wow.
That was amazing. That was
Wow.
absolutely incredible. That was
Oh,
such a good end of the game.
so this is what we talk about a lot. Oh, bottom of the deck, bolt. Oh, Murktide.
Trust zone.
Everything.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that we do talk about this a lot um in Legacy is the fact that sometimes you do just die to like 1/1 shitters
Oh yeah.
all
1/1
the time.
shitters get in for 1 damage multiple times, especially if
Oh
it's over
yeah.
multiple turns.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Uh, yeah.
Sweet
It's,
thing Jets by undoing in this tournament. I agree, Malfi. Building it yourself. Let's go. Important of note that Stifle played earlier didn't end up helping as intended. That is true, Wiggles. It did not. However, that is part of variance, and I'm totally cool with that. I'm
Yeah,
totally cool with that.
exactly. Seeing that, just didn't have a threat, and this is what I've preached before. Delver is a deck that still wins through the combat step.
Yeah.
If you're able to remove their threats repeatedly and stick a 1/1, you can eventually win with that.
Yes.
It's just like, okay, are you going to play with a deck that's filled with removal to beat the Delver, or are you going to just and then have it not work at all once you go against like combo?
Yeah.
So you got to have a plan for both.
Yeah. Also, thing to note: this is going to be the end of round one, so y'all are going to be sticking around for round two because there's going to be a ton of Magic that's going to be going on. This is going to be going on all day, and we are going to be based on your poll and your votes. We're going to be watching Rax playing Blue Red Delver in the next round, and I think they're trying to figure out right now. They're looking at the seeding right now to see who Rax is going to be playing. I'm assuming, let's see, Rax beat AHG and Reanimator. So AHG is going to go to the bottom. Oliver beat Dalibor. So it was
Dalibor.
Reanimator over Abs and Reclaimer, which means Oliver is going to be playing Tensai, which is on Curse Stompy in the next match, which means the Reanimator player is playing against main deck Leyline, which might be a little rough.
Oof. When I talked
So
about
Rax is going to be
mulliganing down to
playing. This is
something,
going to be a blue red. This is going to be a blue red mirror.
a blue red versus the Jeskai,
Or
Rax
Jeskai.
versus
Sorry, this is
Amaro.
going to be the same matchup that literally just happened. This is going to be Blue Red Delver versus Jeskai Control. Yeah, that's crazy. And then on the bottom seed, we're going to have AHG versus Eternally Surprised. So Reanimator versus Blue Red Delver. And then Dalibor, which is going to be on Absar and Clemmer, is going to be fighting against Prez on Red White Painter. So this could be on the bottom seed. One of these or two of these four players are going home.
Yeah,
Huh.
it is. This is when we get into this is the elimination round. So it's double elimination. When one of these players has the chance of going home, it's going to be really interesting to see who does.
Yes.
I do believe that each one of these players has very much a shot of coming back, though.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely. These bottom tier matchups are not too terrible. AHG versus Blue Red Delver. That's what Reanimator's been doing. It's been preying on Blue Red Delver, y'all.
hmm
So
uh,
that's going to be interesting.
Raven the Light, thank you for following. And
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
I do think what's gonna be really interesting though is the Dalwar versus Prez matchup. Both
Yes.
of these players have dead cards. Well, Pyroblast until you get Painter out type thing.
I would
But
say
both these,
dead. They've aged like a fine wine. We can't say beta plateaus are dead cards.
yeah. Oh,
Or
okay, okay, true. But Dalibor, it does have abrupt decays to interact instant speed with Painter, so it's gonna be a really interesting matchup to see where it goes from here. But of course, we're all gonna be looking at the fastest matchup in history as Tensai just mulligans aggressively for ley line each game.